about to witness the awesome, a crushing might of the Eugene S. Robinson show. Welcome, my friends, to the show that seemingly never ends. This is V.382 of the Eugene S. Robinson Show Stomper. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. The song, as usual, that let us in. Everything is shot to hell. My usual intro is Bob Riley singing for Stigmata. The song is called Intro All of Nothing. From the record, The Calling of the Just. Still available from Revelation Records in Huntington Beach, California, where they hit your car with a hammer, shoot you to death in a nightclub, and run your mayor pro tem out of town on a rail to open up a substandard restaurant in Central Florida that will inevitably fail. Thank you for attending. Let me switch this over so I can see. There we go. And here we are where the eyes of September. Listen, where the show is going to go is very different from where the show is going to go. But then, of course, because this is all like a raga, the show will go where it was going to go anyway, because anything that was unintended points back to the Rome. How do you like that? Yeah, I've been drinking. No, I'm talking about the shooting in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, I believe. I believe it was Michigan. It's so hard to keep track these days at a Mormon church. Is this retribution for Charlie Kirk? We call it a segue. Is this a leftist? Is it a rightist? It's now nice to see. Well, maybe not nice is not the strongest and best word to use in this instance, but it's real nice to see. What am I doing with these glasses? These are fake glasses. I was supposed to, when I found out how much the lenses were, I started collecting glasses. And these were like display models. And I thought, no, I could put my prescription in here and I'll look like, but it looks like, I don't have no idea what it looks like. I'm a vain man, This doesn't look like Buddy Holly. Maybe that's what I was going for. I don't know. But I keep them on my desk I keep them on my desk as punctuation. So, somebody comes in and is bugging me and I can go, listen. That's what I mean, that kind of thing. So, of course, my desk here is we're going to get back to your point, but my desk here is in the new house, so nobody's walking into this office. So anyway, it's kind of nice to see, or sort of satisfying. You want to know in America, even well in advance of Trump, as far as I've been reading the news, which to my count has been since 1968. That's about when I learned how to read. And my mother married a journalist, so I started paying attention to the news. Every news story where something particularly egregious or horrible happened, I was like, please don't let them be black. Please don't let them. And then, of course, as you get older, you start talking to people, you find every tribe does this. And Latinos are like, oh my God, please don't let this be. And then there was some comedian, I think it was Chris Rock, who talked about the psycho monograph of criminals. And he did this piece where, somebody's playing using somebody's eyeballs as click clacks. That's a white dude, and he goes, somebody pushing an old lady down a staircase for a welfare check. That's a black dude. I don't really like Chris Rock that much. I think if you want to go to my Substack and read the piece on anti-blackness, I got to talk about him and Dave Chappelle. And Dave Chappelle finally had those worlds collide, which is why he quit his show. But suddenly, making jokes about at the expense of anybody. Look, it's not here. I'm not here to talk about comedy. I'm here to talk about how at this point now we're all on tenterhooks because we don't know who the shooter was. Like that would in some way mitigate the shooting. Because it gives you that old New York eye roll where, I worked out in the gym with all these mafiosi guys and kind of ethnic Italian guys, and they would be like, they were very open about their version of racism, He's like, oh, here's some guy that, what, some Puerto Rican? Okay, man. You know what? So everybody has this kind of tribal identity thing. So we're waiting for, guy. Look, if I've learned nothing from Dylan Roof to now, it's like, one, stay out of churches. Look, I'm not trying to blame the victim here, but if you were to tell your partner, wait a minute, I'm going to church, let me grab my gun. Most of your partners will go, what the fuck are you kidding? It's church. Nah, 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 nah. Sitting duck territory in church. And I mean, start with the fact that when you walk in late, nobody turns around. It is rude. They're going to pay attention to the priest, the minister, the pastor, or whatever. But also, there's maybe a closely held belief that you'd be pretty happy to die because you get to meet your maker. So, you got to know that churches are going to be an unsafe place to be. Again, not blaming the victim, but you do realize since last week's show, there's been, what do we call, I asked a friend of mine, is it a spree stabbing? Can I go on a stabbing spree if I'm only stabbing the same person? And he thought about that for a bit. He goes, you have to come back on different days. And then we can call it a stabbing spree. So I have to say, since there's been a shooting every day, what do we call, where is the dividing line? Where is mass shooting? Where does that come from? Where does a mass shooting? Oh, is the show, Enterprise says the show is unlisted, June. I'm sure. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you see it. So, yeah, I just read at CNN that there was a shooting. So is it a mass shooting if it's 3 people? Which reminds me of that great piece that I did. I'm actually going to send it to June and have her put it in the show next week, because I led an alternative comedy showcase with it. And like, it made people super uncomfortable. And then I figured, okay, well, maybe it's just a little too righty for San Francisco. And so I played it for my righty friends, and they didn't like it either because they were like, this is just fucking lame and stupid. This was compiled from me and one of the former Skull Game writers from our text, and one of the things, one of the great lines, I think, is we said, if people knew how fucked up we were, they would be rioting for us like they're rioting for the people at the time when there were riots in Egypt. And then I say in my text, well, is it a riot if it's just the 2 of us? And he goes, I suppose not. And of course, these characters, Sal, the one of the writers, he wrote under the name Italian Sal, is Clinton, and I'm Obama. So you have these kind of robotic figures working. I still think it's hilarious. I wish it got bigger play. However, I started to think, is it a mass shooting if it's just 2 people? Is it 3 people? Is it, well, clearly it's not a mass shooting event if it's 1 person. So all those other cases where dudes got shot on Friday, Saturday night in the last 7 days, you don't count. You're just an American, but I think I would say my dividing line is reloading, not the number of people, right? So if you have to reload, it becomes a mass shooting event, right? And it doesn't change where I'm going with the show at all. But it's just like, and I don't want to be, I want to focus on things that are light and happy, like the survivability of a shooting, which is, if you read the Substack, really what we're on about this week. And of course, it's still tender enough and upsetting enough that no sooner did I go push live on the Substack, where I got a pretty steady stream of unsubscribers, and it's like, you know what? I got so many subscribers here. Okay. All right. Thanks, June. I don't need the health thing. Unless you want to give June more money to help with the health thing. So, vertigo is not to be fucked with, though. I remember after I got, what happened to me that I got really bad? I got knocked out in an MMA match. And then I went in and told Sorrel about it. And he goes, well, let's roll. And during that roll, he proceeded to punch me in the head several dozen times. I mean, literally, probably about 13 times. What the fuck are you doing? And he just kept laughing, never answered me. And that day, I left the gym, went home, laid down to bed, And it wasn't like the movies. It wasn't like being tipsy. It wasn't like a pleasant vertigo. Like, it was fucking horrifying. I don't know if those of you who remember Knuckle Up, I passed out in the show once because I held that, you were now about to knuckle up. And I held the note too long. And I thought, oh shit, there's an earthquake. And I was on the floor and I kind of crawled back up. And I don't think I wasn't doing video then. I was still doing audio. But in any case, we're going to stay focused tonight. But first, let's start with one. We are at the end of the month, which means in a scant 3 days, I got to cut June a check. And if I got to cut June a check, you guys got to cut me a check so I don't feel like a fucking idiot for doing this, right? So once again, it's $440 for the month. TM is already in there. We got a few others who are regulars who are going through Substack. I appreciate your contributions. Those of you who showed up on the book tour and paid me, yeah, that's still good, especially the dude who pressed 100 into my hands at one of the Boonwell shows. That's fine. This is cool. But the first is coming up, and so you got to pay. Also, on October 1st, something really special is happening. I am back on the mats. Oh my God! In the interim, I'm happy to report that though I've been lifting weights and doing cardio because I still got Boonwell shows at the end of October where somebody will attempt to murder me. I am 220. And cardioed out. So this is good. I'm eating great and healthy here in Spain. And speaking of which, this is the first show that I'm actually doing from my office. Now, I think I may have done If the Shoes Fit from my office, but this is the first, a show Stomper that I'm doing from the office. So you can see those glass bricks behind me. I'm going to have a buddy another jiu-jitsu guy staying in my office in the 2nd of October. So when I do this show next week, he can actually take a dump because that's my bathroom right here behind it. He can take a dump while I'm doing the show. And you guys can see him, his shadow taking a dump. And then, of course, we can't smell it. So it's not smell-o-vision, but at least we have that going on. So you see, so this is where I don't want to move the computer too much, but let's see what you can see. Yeah. So that's the door. And it's very minimal. There's a lamp and you can lay there's a couch there because I'm going to start I have to lean the other way. I'm going to start doing therapy sessions. So my clients will lay there while I counsel them through their life issues. Because I had an instance this week, which I'll share with you briefly, of somebody who's like, I've been going to a shrink for 7 years. You solved my problem in 7 minutes. And what the problem was witness the perils of online dating. This woman was attracted to a guy's posting wherein he described that he likes sex toys, and she figured, oh, he's going to be exciting in game. Well, it turns out he brings out his sex toys and he opens the suitcase, and she sees a lot of strap-on dildos in there, and that's when our Playboy, our penthouse letter turns into a horror story for the woman in question. And so spent about an hour gratis pro bono. But, if I could have people on this couch and I could sit here and stare out the window at the Mediterranean while they talk to me about their problems, it might be a good way to make some of the money to keep this show afloat. Not a casting couch. Counseling couch. So yeah, Sussex, I'm closer to you now. And I finally met my neighbors for the first time today. I've seen them briefly, and they don't really live here full time like I do. But if you remember, my developer tried to get them to agree, both sides, to agree to some sort of minor real estate easement. It would encroach on their property a bit, and they'd have to sign off. And one side said, yeah, I'll do it for a palm tree. So, and then the other side said, yeah, I'll do it for 23,000 euros. So we said, the hell with Jews on both of these. But today, Cora and I were talking because the neighbor came up, she caught me as we were leaving the house. She's like, we might be making some noise. We have some company over. We didn't think anybody was living here. We're very quiet. And so I don't care as long as you guys don't park in my driveway. I don't give a shit. I came from a place where there were gunfights in front of my house. This is minor. But now I'm trying to figure out, are the 23,000 euro people on this side or are the palm tree people on this side? Because Cora and I have come to the conclusion that the palm tree people are cooler than the 23,000 euro people. Because simply, Anyway, things are good. Knock on wood. I had a dream about dying last night. I'm glad I lived to make the show. My advice to you is try to stay alive between now and next week. Send this Charlie Kirk thing out, the hoax thing. Send to your friends. I need a variety of opinions here because I'm wanting to be talked off the ledge, but I completely believe it's a hoax now. 7 days good for you too? Okay, all right. Where's the Oxbow poster, man? I took all those down. It's too depressing. It's too depressing. You know, see, maybe I should invest my time in going and changing Wikipedia fucking mentions. God damn it. Anyway, this is version 382. Eugene S. Robinson Showstopper. We'll see you soon. The kid's kind of sleeping, but I'll whisper my way out. Jesus, I've done that.
Thanks for joining us this week for yet another episode of the Showstopper podcast, featuring your host, Eugene S. Robinson. Be sure to follow Eugene's weekly newsletter, which is a soaring hit at eugenesrobinson.substack.com. If you're still on Twitter, he's at Eugene S. Robinson. While you're at it, follow him on Insta at Mr. Sleep 3, that's the number 3. For more episodes of the show that seemingly never ends, go to showstomper.substack.com and become a subscriber today. Eventually, it will house all the Knuckle Up archives we can locate. We already have all the jiu-jitsu breakdowns for free. Check out Eugene on the Bad Boss Brief podcast every other Wednesday morning, as well as the If the Shoes Fit podcast. Pick up his memoir, A Walk Across Dirty Water and Straight into Murderer's Row today, and be sure to leave him a much appreciated honest Amazon review.
Hey, are you still there? I'm here too. This is me, June M. Williams, Eugene's producer.
The Showstopper has been produced by Original Designs, owned and operated by me, June M. Williams. I provide Eugene with videography, original show graphics, motion graphics, show logos, podcast syndication, social media, and more. I can be reached at originals@gmail.com, spelled ORIJUNELS @gmail.com.